Welcome to the Adjunct CEO Podcast with your host, the Adjunct CEO, Dean Akers. Tips, ideas, and interviews with top leaders to help you and your business when results matter.
Well, I appreciate everybody joining me today. We're going to have a good little session today. I got calls on our three-circle process last week. I actually met with several companies that called me in and asked for some additional information on the three circles. It's kind of a for sure type program. And when I sat down and did the three circles with the two companies that I came in, it was pretty enlightening because as we did the research, we found out that they were a much smaller market share than they thought. And one particular company, we determined that their real strength was where they should focus versus some kind of directions they were going in, because we determined that their market was much larger. They were a recognized, valued vendor in the market, although not a great market share, and the margins were a lot better. So we get through the three-circle process, and if you have any more questions, again, help@adjunctceo.com, help@adjunctceo.com. If you have any questions on the three circles, go back to that episode, re-listen to it, and I'll be glad to help you. So now we've got the foundation. We've done the three circles. We're good to go. We kind of now know where our market share is. And again, that second circle is the circle of the people we aren't even quoting on or losing deals to. So therein lies the next phase of my ninja sales, or how I help companies. And then we're talking primarily in the sales arenas right now. So I've got my circles. Now I want to profile my existing customers. So I look at my existing customers and I use Pareto's theory, 80-20. So you generally find out that 20% of your customers are really driving 80% of your business. It may not be exact, but you're going to find some similarities to your biggest customers. Once you find out who they are and what they mean to you, and candidly what you mean to them, you then want to profile them. So let's use an example. Let's say we are trying to sell to car dealers or somebody like that. We're trying to sell to lawyers. It doesn't matter who we're trying to sell to. Once we identify who our primary customer is, then we take the three circles and we kind of see how much it is of just that business and that primary customer, what they look like. And I've got some software now where I can deep dive the customers and actually see what they look like. And I had a previous company where we did it in, and when we did this and we found out who our customer was, we found out that we were in fact shooting at the wrong customer. When we got the data, we found that our customer, we thought, had a household income in the 70s, and it turned out the household income of this high-ticket item was actually in the 30s, 37,000 and some change. Changed our dynamics because we had facts. So you get the profile of your top group of customers. Once you have this profile, you now want to build what I call the PV list. And if anybody has any questions on, please, again, email me at help@adjunctceo.com, and I'll be glad to walk you through it, maybe even send you a template on it to get your company really rocking, or if you're a salesperson in particular, to get your sales in your territory rocking. So now, what you want to do is put down every possible customer that could buy your product that mirrors those top customers that you currently have. That's all you want to do. So you start listing out those companies, and you're going to find out in most cases there's hundreds, even thousands of customers depending on your geographic area. So then your next question, you've got that. Then you want to determine, based on your current data, what that customer, that now you know what they look like, how their size with you is relational to the other companies on the list. For instance, if you're doing $1 million a year with a company that has 100 locations, or let's say 10 locations for easy math, and you say, okay, per location, I should be able to do $100,000 per location per year based on this customer profile. Now you find a competing company to that customer, and you find out they have 20 locations. So with 20 locations, you now put their name in the spreadsheet, 20 location, and the value's worth $100,000. So now they are a potential of $2 million in sales, and so on and so on. So you populate this with your potential sales based on some kind of data you've gotten about your customers. Again, if you have a question or problem understanding this, help at the Adjunct CEO. I'll be glad to call you and walk you through it. It's a fairly simple process. Once you have this, you're going to find a crazy number. And that number is going to show you what your potential value of your marketplace is with the customers you don't have. Then what we'll do is we're going to take that data. And we're going to massage it. And we're going to give ourselves a 10% chance to get that client. And that's a client we don't even know at all. And the reason we give it a 10% chance, I always say that's just a good round number because we have them on the list. You could pick any number at this point. And at that juncture, we now populate this list with the potential customers, what their value is to us, whether it's gross margin value, sales value, or in the case of a salesperson, the commission value. And again, I can send you some examples, and it's help@adjunctceo.com. I could send you some generic examples that you could use for yourselves. And then you're going to put it in there, and it's going to map exactly who your clients, your target clients out of that second circle, the ones you have no business with, how big and what the impacts are on your company, both financially and for your salespeople, income-wise. With that data and that spreadsheet, you're going to see how many hours with 10% chance you could devote to that client per year with only a 10% chance to have a return on a valuation of your hourly rate. So if you are a salesperson and you want to make $300,000 a year, your 2,000 hour a year rate is $150 an hour. So we will populate that, or you will populate that against the sales or against the commissions. So let's use the same example. If we were getting 10% of the $1 million company and our commissions were 10% of that, let's just say it was $100,000, that would be a pretty lucrative deal. It means that other company is worth $200,000 in potential commissions. So if you extract that and you put your numbers back in it, it tells you how many hours you can work. Now that's an exaggeration. I would probably say you were getting 1%. So in that case, you were making $10,000 on this one company commission if you're in sales. And on the other one, if you had all their business, you would make $20,000. So if you want to make $200,000 a year, that's $100. So on $20,000 with the $2 million, you have a 10% chance. So that's $2,000 of commission value to you. And then it's just math. You take your $100 an hour. That means you can work that client 20 hours with a 10% chance. Now, here's what's interesting when you really look at the sales process. 99% of you out there, when you start mathematically seeing how much you really work clients, it's amazing how little you actually get. So in this case, we're going to mathematically know that we can work this client 20 hours at $2,000. So when you start looking at how to get that account, in the next year, you're going to budget 20 hours. So you're going to start what we call a critical path. We're not going to talk a lot about that today because I'll bring a follow-up program. what I want to make sure that you take away today is you have now done your 3 circles. Now the next step is to build your PV list. Your PV list is going to have all those accounts on it with what their relative value is based on some kind of metrics you can determine off your existing accounts. Could be units, it could be whatever it is. Then you're going to assign the values of 10% to them. And then as you work them, you'll raise that value. What you'll find is that you can work accounts a lot more diligently. And when you look at the value of return on time, it's insane. And so this process is very eye-opening. I just finished with one client where one of his salespeople, when we went through this exercise, had north of $5 million worth of commission value in his territory. And he wasn't even aware of how to go get it. Now we're working with him on how to go get it and the rest of the team. So again, the takeaway today is get that PV list done. If you have a question or you want an example sent to you, email me at help@adjunctceo and just request a sample PV list. So we've done 2 things. We've got our 3 circles, so we know the clients we want, and now we're at the point of building out the PV list so we can build the strategy on how to go get them. So I hope you had to get some real traction out of today. This stuff works. I've never not gotten a client I want with this process. And by the way, it was never on price. It was never on anything other than relationships, but knowing how to go get them. So let's start working in that second circle together. And we will talk to you in our upcoming episodes on really how you build out that critical path. So have a great day. Happy selling.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. If you have any questions or need some help, just email help@adjunctceo.com. Thanks for tuning in.